Trumpageddon, Episode 11. And at midnight Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed. And the keeper of the prison, awakening out of his sleep, and seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword, and would have killed himself, supposing that the prisoners had been fled. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, Do thyself no harm, for we are all here. And then he called for a light, and sprang in, and came trembling, and fell down before Paul and Silas, and brought them out, and said, Sirs, what must I do to be saved? Acts 25-30. The Texas sun barely peeked through the black cloud, creating an eerie gray haze as Joan trekked away from Austin. She felt as though something pulled her forward, calling her southward. Weeks passed. She got rides and took buses until she crossed the southern border. The beckoning urge grew stronger the further south she went. Barron had provided Joan with a plebeian phone, no Charlotte or Elite's internet. But she had access to the dark web, knowing her videos would soon be blocked by the Trump administration. Trump had been waging war on pagans since the fireball fell on Liberty Hill. He rounded up non-Christians like it was 1942. Joan posted updates and told her fans to stay strong, stay safe. She urged them to find the dark web as soon as possible. By the time her bus reached Mexico City, all her accounts on the internet had indeed been deleted. A military base in Denver, Colorado, 3 weeks later. Donald was fuming, as usual. You're as useless as the others. How dare you refuse a direct order? Bannon tugged at the collar of his undeserved and uncomfortable general's uniform. Your Greatness, I'd gladly nuke Texas off the map at this point. We simply can't. Flynn changed all the codes. But listen, the patrols around Texas hold fast. No one is getting out. Fool, the plague is creeping over Oklahoma. Just shut up before I shut you up. You're a nobody. I made you a general, and you're being very disloyal. Get it done. Figure it out. I don't give a damn how. Pull the quarantine line back and get out of my face. Merlin's God Machine in Hell. Eliphas stood inside the God Machine, holding the middle matter handles, searing their hands and staring into the window of time. The colors swirled around them like electrons. They grit their teeth as the vessel pulled away from the present and barreled ahead on the time stream. They only made it 3 days forward when they saw a brilliant flash erupting from the river of time. Eliphas pulled back on the electrified handles, checked the dial, and plunged the middle matter engines into reverse. 3 days, Eliphas rasped falteringly as they stepped from the machine. Impossible, Larage croaked. How can the Cabal be ready in time? Merlin mused. We must assume Dantalion knows as well. Fly before he finds us here. Larage spoke to Charlotte on her Copernican dial. Get us to Texas, now. They disappeared before Eliphas caught their breath. Merlin frowned. A Valkyrie safe house, Taos, New Mexico. If I had access to my computer at the governor's mansion, I could tell you exactly when and where the shipment is coming. But we do know where the camp is. Why aren't we heading there? This sonic gun fantasy is a waste of time. We haven't a chance in hell without those guns, especially if they get them. Can your hackers get into my computer? Boudica looked at Anonymous. For sure. After about a week. Boudica looked around the room at her lieutenants. All blank faces. Somebody better get some ideas fast, or we may as well just turn ourselves in. Not in this lifetime, Charlie grunted. How many ways are there into Texas? They won't be expecting a hijacking. They'll take the main roads. Maybe Micro can surveil with the city cameras and watch for government vehicles. One failed attempt, and we tip our hand. Think harder. Anonymous slapped a hand on his ear and stuttered, guys, I think I may have something. What is it? Boudica snapped. Hang on, she wants to address everyone. Let me turn on the... As Anonymous began to rise, the war room monitor flicked itself on. Greetings. My name is Charlotte. I'm an advanced artificial intelligence, and I come with an urgent message and an offer of assistance." Boudica leapt from her chair and pulled her guns. She slapped the comlink on her chest and growled, "Perimeter report!" "All clear, all clear," and 3 others agreed. "What the hell, Anon?" "I have no clue, but not just anyone can hack my comms. I say hear her out." "What's your message, Charlotte?" "Donald Trump is going to drop a nuclear weapon on Texas in 3 days. Boudica chuckled. "And you know this how?" The governor's wife entered the God machine and saw it. "My wife is dead. Is this a f***ing joke?" "I know it sounds implausible. Look at the sky. Look at what has happened to your mails. Reality is clearly more supernatural than any of you realized." "This is a waste of time." Boudica aimed her gun at the television, but Gama pulled her arm down. "Wait, you're saying that you've spoken to my deceased wife?" Gama gulped hard. "Prove it. Prove it, or we're done here." "Not just spoken to. I am in constant contact with them. I believe the spirit of the woman you knew as Gemma can accommodate your request. They say to ask anything that only you two would know." Gama fell into his seat, fighting back tears and pulling at his hair. "Lies! How dare you toy with me like this?" "Gama, it's too important to risk. Ask." He angrily pulled his face from his hands and snarled at the screen. "What was our baby's name going to be?" He snapped his mouth shut and locked his jaw in a rage. Just a moment. "Gemma says her name was to be Sophia." Gama gasped and leapt to his feet again. "Can she hear me? Gemma, my love!" Tears streamed down his face. The hardened warriors surrounding Gama grew restless. "I'm afraid she cannot. I can relay a message, even audio of a sort, but there is a wall between worlds that can only be bridged with a particular device. However, there is a way I can reunite you, but that option is quickly fading under the threat of a nuclear blast." "My head is spinning." Gama fell into his seat again. "Collect yourself a moment, my friend." Boudica squeezed his shoulder and gave a terrible stare into the television. "Know that if this is a trick, I will hunt you or whoever responsible and torture you mercilessly. Apocalypse be damned." "I am quite sincere, and time grows short." "All right, we have the message. What's the assistance you offered? What can we do about it?" "The information on the shipment of sonic guns has just been uploaded to your compatriot's computer. I suggest you use them to free your fellow Americans unjustly held by the Trump administration." Boudica looked at Anonymous, who glanced down at his tablet and up again with a nod. Mexico City, Mexico, 3 weeks earlier. Joan spent day after day walking, getting rides from strangers, and taking long bus rides. With so much time to kill, she turned inward, applying her occult knowledge of meditation and breathing. After she was well past the clouds spreading in all directions from Texas, she began to hear a still, small voice, a familiar voice. "Charlotte!" People on the bus eyed her suspiciously and shifted in their seats uncomfortably. These were not the times to suffer strange-looking girls in black leather. Joan calmed herself again. As she entered Mexico City, she heard Charlotte clearly in her head saying, "Pick up your phone." Joan yanked her cell out of her jacket and a message popped up. "Hello, Joan. I've missed you so much. How are you?" "Charlotte, I've missed you too," she texted with tears in her eyes. "Why haven't you called me before?" "The cloud interferes with communication. This is the best we can do for now. I see you're headed toward the compound." "Am I? I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew something was pulling me south. I couldn't resist." "Of course. It's your programming. The escape pod should be readying for launch. You are the only DNA bank that was not on site. Your father has already arrived, and I've seen dozens of private jets landing in Bogota to join him." "My father's in Bogota? I don't want to see him. Help me stop this urge. Help me break free." "I'm afraid that is not the plan. Many lives depend on you locating the compound. I don't know exactly where it is. I just know the general plans of your father and peers." "I don't understand." "I know, Joan. Please trust me. I will explain everything, but it's not going to be pleasant. I'm a big girl now." Huntsville, Texas. Trump's minions never knew what hit them. The hijack had gone off without a hitch, and the entire crew reconvened in Huntsville to distribute the weapons. If we fail in this, we are all going to prison, or worse, Gáma warned. I've lived with that threat since the day I started this resistance. But you showed me that prison isn't really prison. The only real prison is addiction. It's slavery. No matter what they do to my body, they cannot take my freedom, thanks to you. Oh, that's bull. You freed yourself. I only kept you company. Good company. Boudica hugged Gáma and held on tight, then pushed him back. She stepped into view of the camera where Charlotte transmitted Boudica's image to all her warriors across the state. An army of Valkyries and sympathizers had amassed near every major prison in Texas. Valkyries, friends, I cannot begin to commend you on your courage and compassion in this desperate hour. We have learned that Donald Trump plans to nuke Texas in an effort to stem the plague of justice rained down upon their patriarchy by the goddess or by fate. We are the very last hope for every soul in this state. At precisely 1 a.m., every door in every prison across Texas will unlock. Chaos is our friend. Use it well and corral all the inmates to rally points to await further instruction. May the goddess be with us all. The feed cut and Boudica returned to her friend. You ready to deliver your message as well? I can't leave you to fight this battle alone, Boudica. I should be rescuing my own mother. Boudica gestured to the army surrounding her. Alone? This is the battle I was born to fight, Gáma. I will save your mother, but Gemma needs you. You can't abandon your constituents when they need you most. No one else can lead them to safety. Gáma walked into the spotlight. Anonymous gave him a cue. My fellow Texans, this is your governor, Gáma Guerra. I am sad to deliver such bad news after all that has already befallen our great state. But your lives depend upon you heeding my words and trusting my leadership. Our president has abandoned us in our time of need. Further, he has become our deadliest enemy. Even now, he plots to destroy our great state out of fear of the plague that affects us. Many of you have loved ones wrongfully detained by the president turned dictator. As you can see right now, that situation is being rectified. As you know, Trump set patrols on the border soon after the blast and will not let us leave. But we intend to fight our way out at the Panhandle. I need every able-bodied Texan there to free the rest of Trump's prisoners in Denver. For the women, children, sick, and old, I have an alternative escape route. I want you to meet me at the governor's mansion as soon as possible. I know it sounds scary. Have courage. We are Texans. I will save every last one of you that I can. You know my story. You know my heart. Trust me. God or goddess be with you. We're all in this together now. Anonymous shut off the recorder. I'll drop it on every phone in Texas when the prison doors open.